What's going on, guys, and how are we today? We said we were going to bring these back. How to beat KASHTIRA first off. We'll cover how to beat Tearlaments. I do actually want to cover it because I think post-Photon Hypernova the deck is going to change slightly in the ratios and the way their deck lists are formed. The overall strategy is going to remain similar, so a lot of it might seem like information you already know, but we will do an updated Tearlaments, cover the branded with the new support, Floanderies, and some other top decks. Today though, we are going to go over KASHTIRA. I do have a sample deck list up on the screen that we'll go through first, then we'll cover some hand trapping, going first options, going second options. I was going to do a combo guide. I tried using this deck last night and I kept having people quit on me and I was not able to get good combos. And I can't do it in solo mode on here because without an opponent's deck to banish off of, it will not let you activate certain effects. So for their actual combo lines, I just strongly suggest going on YouTube and watching them because, well, it's going to be a popular deck. It's going to be a good deck. It's going to be a deck that you want to know how to beat. 3 unicorns, basically like their best starter. It's their 1-card combo. It searches out one of their spell cards. 3 Fenrir, this is the splashable one. It's the better version of Pankratops. It's the one that is going to get banned or limited at some point, probably 2 lists after the set is released. But Fenrir also searches out a KASHTIRA monster. Riseheart, another 3 of. These 3 are pretty standard, going to be 3 ofs. If you control another KASHTIRA monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you can only summon XYZs for the rest of the turn. That's not really important for them. If this card's normal or special summon this turn, you can banish a KASHTIRA card, very important actually, from your deck. And then you can banish 3 cards off your opponent's deck. You do this after making your Shangri-La, so then Shangri-La also locks up one of their zones because that's what this deck does. It banishes your deck, your extra deck, it takes up your zones, it banishes your field all face down. It's very fun, very interactive, and that is what they do, and they do it very well. They'll banish the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck face down, and if you do, this card becomes a level 7, so it's a rank 7 deck. It's a big body deck because Fenrir is a 2400 beater, 25 for unicorn. Like, the deck can just do a lot of good things. This player was on the 1 Scareclaw KASHTIRA. There's also Tearlaments KASHTIRA. There's a few other cards that I feel that are going to be worked out on their ratios. 3 Prime Planet lets you add a KASHTIRA monster from your deck to your hand, and they do gain a little bit of a boost. They do have different attributes for the most part. If Shangri-La activates its effect, you can also target a card on the field and destroy it. You can only use this once per turn, so another popping effect, another interaction. We'll go to Shangri-La and those when we get to the bottom. Papayas, this is a target a KASHTIRA you control, special summon a KASHTIRA with a different attribute from your deck in defense position. Also locks you into XYZs, but again, that is not going to matter. If this card is banished, you can target one of your banished KASHTIRA cards, add it to your hand. So not only does the deck banish a bunch of your cards, it recycles its own. And big thing here, you target one of your banished KASHTIRA cards. It doesn't say anything about face up, face down, so as long as it's a KASHTIRA card, you can, in fact, go ahead and get it. 3 KASHTIRA Birth, another card that's just really good for the deck. You can normal summon a level 7 without tributing. Who thought that would be good? Big Bang, essentially this is the card that they banish off the Riseheart because when it is banished, it also lets them grab one of their materials off the Shangri-La and add it back to their hand. Terraforming to get to the field spell. Prosperity for consistency. Impermanent Ash, probably going to see a huge rise in popularity for hand traps. 3 Lava Golem and 2 Sphere Mode, because you may notice something. You can special summon this card. You can special summon this card. If you control KASHTIRA monster, you can special summon this card. They don't need their normal summon, so he's playing 3 Lava Golem, 2 Sphere Mode. Also, the deck plays D-Shifter. Another deck playing D-Shifter. It's crazy. It's awesome. It's great. And then 2 Forbidden Lands. Shoutouts to Brock because he was actually playing this in his stun deck at our Blue Eyes Trophy tournament the other week, and it's actually seeing meta play coming up in post-Photon Hypernova. Essentially, when you try to out one of their cards, they'll use the Forbidden Lands to protect it, whether you like Swords of Concealing Light, or you Book of Eclipse, or you use one of these types of cards. They can Forbidden Lance and say protect their Arise Heart to keep the macro. They can protect their Shangri-La to lock your zones. This card I expect to see a decent bit more play. 2 Shangri-Las. So each standby phase, by the way, special summon a Kashtira monster from your deck. That is pretty crazy. Once per turn. Each time a card your opponent owns and possesses is banished face down. So if it's from their deck, their hand, their extra deck, or their field, it counts. You can choose one unused main monster zone or spell and trap zone, and it cannot be used while this card is face up on the field. If this card would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can detach 1 material instead. That is not an activated effect. It is like Dingirsu. It is a replacing the effect. It's not, I forget the exact term, unclassified effect. It does not activate, so you will not be able to negate that. You can negate the card, which will negate it ahead of time, like Dingirsu, but it does not activate at the time of destruction. Special summon every standby phase, pretty good, and every time something's banished, which, by the way, you banish their cards sometimes 3 times on your turn. That locks 3 zones. Their standby phase, you summon something. There's a good chance on their turn you're going to banish them 1 or 2 more times. So, like, it's just insane what the deck can do. You can easily lock up 5 zones pretty quickly. A Rise Heart. Once per turn, if Shangri-La activated its effect, and this is pretty key, if Shangri-La activated its effect, not your Shangri-La, so if your opponent's does, it also makes it live. You can Xyz this card by using a Kashtira monster you control. Apologies for that. If any card is sent to the grave, any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead. So this is the walking macrocosmos. So it's pretty good. Once per chain, each time a card is banished, attach a banished card to this card as material. That is insane. So it can just pile up materials as well. And there's a third effect. Any card with 3 effects is probably pretty decent. Once per turn, quick effect, you can detach 3 materials from this card, target a card on the field, banish it face down. So yeah, you banish it face down, Shangri-La triggers, it gets a material back, Shangri-La locks up another zone. You just banished one of their cards. Something about this deck just sounds very fun and interactive. However, I will say in playing and testing and reading and looking into, I would rather play against Kashtira than Tearlament's Shizu. 2 Big Eye, 2 Mind Hacker, 2 Zeus, the 1 Dagger. It kind of comes up more for the mirror match. It's a good card for them to get out of, like if they Nibiru you or they get the monsters on board because they want to clear their board so that they can start special summoning and comboing off. It's a good way for them to get their board cleared. 2 Lingaribo, 1 Almirage, and also Goliath because they can get it banished and then they can end up getting it back attached as a material because the deck just does so many fun, fair things. Mind Hacker is another card you definitely need to look out for. They play 2-ofs, and you might need to play 2-ofs in your extra deck because of this card. Because, yeah, while they're locking up your zones, the Mind Hacker will also be able to see your extra deck and banish it, and then potentially deck you out because when they banish a card, you can also banish the top off your opponent's deck equal to the face down banished cards. That's pretty good, like especially in a grind game when you already got like 10 plus cards banished and then they banish another card and now you have to banish 11 off the top of your deck. Like, it's gonna be pretty good, pretty crazy. That's in a nutshell what the deck does. Again, sorry I didn't get you an actual combo for it, but there's lots of combos on YouTube. I highly recommend going and checking it out. So we'll go on into some hand traps where you can disrupt them and whatnot. Hand traps part 1. Ash. You're going to want to Ash like the spells, and the spells being the Papayas, the one that summons out from the deck, and the field spell that searches. You could also hit like the Unicorn if they normal summon it, just because, I mean, you know, if we're going to Imperm or Valor the Unicorn, obviously Ash works on it as well. Valor, Imperm, the Unicorn, ideally probably Unicorn. Rise Heart's also not another bad one because it gets their ball rolling, it gets them to the level 7, but usually they have Shangri-La already at that point, so that's why it's kind of hit or miss on the Rise Heart. If they're playing Tier Limits KASHTIRA, you can go ahead and go spell that. Otherwise, Bell's not the greatest. Crow, Meister, Bestials, they're not the greatest in this matchup. Probably going to see less play from Crow and Bestials, at least in the main deck. They may go to the side. Ghost Ogre, you can go ahead and Ogre that planet, the field spell, or the Birth. It's a quick play. Personally, I would rather hit the Birth out of the two, but that is me. Some more hand traps, the high impact hand traps. What does Droll do versus the deck? Well, the field spell adds, terraforming adds, unicorn adds, and Fenrir adds. So they do a bit of adding, and Droll's actually going to be good against like Floanderies and potentially other decks, so it might not be a bad side deck card to have Droll there. And it's not saying Droll's always going to work, because sometimes they'll open what they need and not need that Droll, be able to play around it. But a lot of time Droll is going to be able to actually go ahead and hit them. Lancia, it's a card you can use when your opponent's doing things on their turn to kind of, you stop the Arise Heart. Arise Heart can't use its effect. You can stop the Mind Hacker, and if you're stopping them from banishing, it also means that Shangri-La isn't going to be able to locking up your zones. So Lancia may be a decent side deck card this format. I haven't seen many people talk about it. It also goes into Floanderies pretty good. The ban list may really dictate how well Lancia comes in, because say we hit Tier Limit to Shizu hard, what if Dragon Link sees a spike in play, and now all of a sudden Lancia and Droll are both even better in that matchup again. So keep an eye out on Droll and Lancia. Shifter, well, they main deck Shifter, so what do you really think Shifter's going to do against them? Shifter's not good here, which it's kind of nice when more and more decks play Shifter in the main become Tier 1. That means Shifter's not as good, so those decks kind of need to side deck Shifter, because you're main decking a card that's just not good into the Tier 1 matchups. And it's kind of an interesting conundrum to be in. Like, they all play it to stop Tier Limit, and then all of a sudden Tier Limit falls off, and it's them going against each other, so then they side deck it. Now Tier Limit instantly becomes better because Shifter's being sided, and it's just a give and take, trying to predict the room before you get there. Nibiru can miss, but a lot of the time Nibiru's going to rock them pretty hard, pun intended. I do like Nibiru a lot this format as well. Not main deck worthy, but I do think it has earned a spot in your side deck. Some going first options, really Floodgates here are going to be the main ones. Obviously, if you go first, your deck, your engine, whatever you can do, stopping like Unicorn, stopping the Rise Heart, especially if it's negate and destroy, you can put them in a pretty awkward position. Disrupting like their first normal summon, that special summon. If you stop them from getting to their Xyz plays, you're going to be in a pretty good spot. D-Barrier, obviously that stops their Xyz plays. Again, D-Barrier is not straight up an auto win though, because they could say Shifter you, they could have a handful of traps or hand traps. They still have Fenrir and Unicorn, which are big bodies that are on board. So D-Barrier is very, very good, but don't expect it to be an auto win button all the time. Summon Limit is going to be pretty crazy if you can play it. Gozen Match is going to stop them a lot. There can be only one is going to stop them a lot because they're psychics. Skill Drain, turning off all their effects, but keep in mind they are what am I looking for? Big bodies again. Said it like 3 times, that's why I didn't want to say it again. Skill Drain, they are still big bodies that you need to be able to get over, and additionally they can play Draco Sack to go ahead and get out under Skill Drain Tribute for cause, pop, and that's the way they do it. Some going second options, Book of Eclipse, Swords of Concealing Light, just because you flip everything face down and now their effects are off, because they need to be face up to have those continuous effects, to have their ignition effects. They can't be used if they're face down. So Book of Eclipse, Swords of Concealing Light are both going to be very good. Pros and cons to each. Eclipse can get ashed. Concealing, well, it can get, both of them can get hit with like an artifact, or not artifact, a Forbidden Lance to protect their card. Concealing, you get the bonus of it being for 2 turns, but it also loses out to back row removal. So loses to ash, loses to back row removal, lasts for 2 turns, doesn't last for 2 turns. There is some give or take here on what you want to do, and I think whatever deck you're playing and the strategy is actually going to be a big dictator in which card you should play. Kurikara, the new one, 1500 attack and defense. Any monster that activated its effect this turn, you tribute them all off. Summon this card. It gains 1500 for each during the end phase. You can special summon opponent's monster from the graveyard. Card is pretty good. It is very easy to have a 6000 Kurikara on your board and potentially go for OTKs. I really like this card. Lava Golem we just saw on that list. Sphere Mode could also get put in here as another option. I think I like them in that order: Kurikara, Lava Golem, Sphere Mode. Like I said, Kurikara, it's crazy. It's coming out in Photon Hypernova. It's just really good. You know, most decks are going to activate their monsters' effects, especially because like Shangri-La, standby phase, and then if they have, say, Mind Hacker, that one will trigger, and like they might easily use 2 to 3 effects before you even get to your main phase, and then you're just like, okay, Kurikara, tribute them, summon, and that's 6k already. I just gotta put 2 more out there, and I win, and that's, you know, kind of decent. Change of Heart, Mind Control, both really good cards. Taking possession of your opponent's monsters. Dark Ruler and Droplet to be able to turn off their boards. Tasking, Talent, again, tasking because it's the whole turn, comes out in Photon Hypernova, and again, Shangri-La activates in standby phase, so you can go ahead and use your tasking. You can use your tasking to grab your talent, you can grab your Dark Ruler, you can grab your Change of Heart, you can grab your Mind Control. You get the point. You can't grab your concealing. I actually put no, that is concealing. The font is just a little weird. It almost looks like conceding, but it is concealing. You can't grab that because it's a continuous spell. You can't grab Eclipse because it's a quick spell. But again, Change of Heart, Mind Control, Dark Ruler, Talents, Ultimate Slayer I put on here too. Sending the, what's the actual name? It's like Meteorologic Aggregator. It just came out in Darkwing Blast, I believe. It's pretty good. When it's sent to the graveyard, you can also negate a card on the field. So not only do you, say, bounce their Shangri-La, bounce the Mind Hacker, you can also negate the one that you leave on the field. So, like I said, that is pretty good. Use it, bounce Shangri-La, negate the Mind Hacker, negate, you know, the Fenrir, negate something, and you get a good 2-for-1 trade-off with Ultimate Slayer. If you can play this card, I do recommend it, because also sending in Tis against Tearlament to bounce a card and then, say, pop one of their field spell, or pop a back row, or pop a Dragostapelia is pretty good. They live and die by special summoning and banishing your cards, so Chaos Hunter immediately comes to mind. This card does have other applications versus like Runic, versus Bestials, and things like that. So Chaos Hunter, another card that can come into the format. We kind of got teased by it when Runic was coming out. Like, the card shot up in price and everyone was like, oh, this card is insane, and then it really didn't see any play, because I think people realized it was, you know, mid at best. But I do think Chaos Hunter is going to be a bit better now. So hopefully this video helped you out, gave you some options for going first, going second. I tried to keep them kind of generic. There's always going to be good options out there, deck specifically, but if I missed anything, let everyone know down below. Comment, like, share, all that good algorithm stuff. I forgot to ask you guys in the beginning because I just wanted to get to the video. But thank you guys for watching. How to Beat Tearlament's coming up soon. Can a ban list fix the format? I don't know. Maybe we'll work on a prediction if you guys would like to see that. Other things, updated Cyber Dragon list, because this is kind of a Cyber Dragon channel with some meta videos mixed in there as well. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, take care.